Hello and welcome to my podcast. I'm Soleil of soleilinnervoice and I would like to thank you for joining me today. This is the first of a short series of podcasts all about root cause healing. Now, just before we start the podcast fully, I must do a little bit of housekeeping, and that is to highlight the fact that we will be talking about triggers, we will be talking about certain issues of the past, and I must say that if you have any problems with any of this, please don't continue to listen. Also, anything that I say in this series of podcasts, or in fact any other of my podcasts, must not take the place of proper medical help. So please, if you feel that you agree with anything that I do talk about, thank you, that's wonderful, but this should not replace any proper medical advice. Thank you. So what is root cause healing? And I am very pleased to say that the importance of root cause healing has actually been identified to the extent it has now become a recognised therapy. So you can actually have root cause therapy. So again, what is it? Well, if you think of actually the word root cause, it is getting to the actual cause of your problem, of your issues, of your health problem, whatever it actually might be. As we say, getting to the cause of the problem, getting to the root cause of the issue. So we start by turning back the clock. We turn back to the clock to a time slightly before whatever your problem or your issue or your illness actually is, to a time where life may be better than it is for you now, to a time where maybe you didn't have these problems, whatever it may be. Any issue has a starting point. Any problem has a beginning. So we turn back the clock to a time just before that, and then we actually look and identify what was going on in your life just before it. We will call this ground zero. We will call this the stage one. Okay, because what tends to happen, we all have a starting point for whatever went wrong in our life, but what goes on from there actually can cause more problem than the root cause, which is why it's so important that we identify the root cause, because we lose sight of this core aspect, and what happens then is additional issues form on top of that, and these can actually cause more major problems of their own. Therefore, returning and identify to the beginning of the root cause helps us to gain focus, to refocus. Now, let's take for example, for whatever reason, somebody has a fall, they hurt their back. Yes, back injuries are very, very painful. But in their mind, whatever happened, let's say they fell off a horse. Okay, they had a riding accident and it was very bad and they hurt their back. So a phobia could occur regarding horses. Something can then add to it all where the pain of their injury is so great that they start manifesting additional issues, that if they do a certain movement or somebody asks something of them, they cannot do it because of the pain will be too great. Their fear of moving in a certain way will be too great. So where the actual injury, which in itself could quite possibly be healing and have healed in maybe half the time, is prolonged because of these fears, these phobias, this resistance to do the rehabilitation, this resistance to push that mental boundary that little bit and realize that you can push past certain pain aspects. So just as a short example, the root cause, which was a riding accident and a very painful back injury, could then become a debilitating factor because of the layers on top. And in addition to that, you could have overprotective family members that maybe saw your riding accident and the fear of seeing that, and the trauma to them of seeing their loved one, you, becoming injured, they become overprotective. They then don't allow you to do certain things. So their fear and their resistance of letting you heal fully adds layers on top of your own problem, because they are mothering you too much. So you can understand now where we're coming from, peeling back the layers of all this other problems, all this pressure on top of you to get back to the original riding accident can be quite traumatic in itself, because you're fighting a lot of additional emotional scars, mental hurdles, before you even get to the physical ones. So in this instance, the root cause would be the riding accident, but you need to push away everything else. So this is why we turn back the clock to a time just before that. So just before your riding accident, you were involved in horses. Everything was good. You had a supportive family network. Everything was good. That's fine. You were happy. And then as we move forward to the accident, the trauma of the family, the fear of what could have been if the accident was any worse, the overcompensation of the family members, the fears of, oh, you were very lucky, it could have been this, or it could have been so much worse, all of them become quite challenging hurdles that you have to push beyond. Also, a root cause issue does not necessarily have to be a part of a physical manifestation. It can also be an emotional problem, even a mental health aspect. There could have been some additional trauma in your life. You could have had relationship issues. There could be a falling out with a very close friend, and an accusation made that was taken the wrong way, that then manifested your personal hurt. Other things were said, overthinking, lots and lots of things, as we talked about slightly earlier, with the adding layers upon layers of it. Somebody else could become involved, an additional friend or a family member can give their opinion to whatever problem and their twist on an explanation. So the original core aspect, which was a falling out or a misunderstanding of a comment that was made, can manifest itself to a major emotional hurdle that quite possibly could trigger something within yourself that went back years ago. So instead of talking and addressing and challenging whatever comment was made with the original person, you maybe back away and overthink things, push that person out of your life, and turn into a spiral of almost depression, if you will, because of something that triggered an issue within yourself that you were not able to let go. So root cause therapy actually involves an awful lot of talking, an awful lot of addressing, an awful lot of thinking within yourself to push back all that layers upon layers of additional issues to the core point, to the stage one. And once you actually get there, it can be quite enlightening, because you say, oh, well, that comment was actually this, or yes, I did hurt my bike, or somebody said something that triggered within myself. You find ground zero and actually start to address ground zero instead of whatever was piled upon it. So what is root cause? What is root cause therapy? It's basically getting to the bottom of your problem. So please join me in the next podcast regarding root cause therapy, where we'll be taking things a step further. So thank you for sharing your time with me today. I hope this was enlightening to you, and I hope to chat to you again soon. Thank you. If you would like more information, please check out my website on www.soleilhealing.co.uk, or you can find me on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube as Soleil Inner Voice. Thank you.